going on, everyone, and welcome to the latest Panel B podcast episode. With me, as always, my wonderful analysts. We have Julian Edlow. Julian, how are you doing today?
The cold streak continues.
What a loser.
The Brewers were the right side of that bet.
That other voice you hear, Stephen Buchanan.
Yep. Live betting the Nationals in the 8th.
That's right. Victory lap for Steve Buchanan. Taking advantage of a 2-inning save opportunity for Josh Hader. Myself, right. I'm Alex Jankowski. That was the NL wild card. We are moving forward, though. We will talk AL wild card. We'll also preview a little bit of the other DS divisional series that we have upcoming now that at least 3/4 of the matchups are set. We, of course, though, will talk NFL Week 5. We will give you our picks for NFL Week 5. Some of them will hit, some of them will not.
Not Julian's.
We'll talk about that next Monday. We also have a great stack upcoming. It'll be a great stack, and then you won't hear from it ever again because it is all-time one-hit wonders, both in sports, in pop culture, in song, everything, anything you can think of. Going to be a lot of fun there. We will start, though, with the NFL. We will start with Week 5 to discuss the upcoming matchups Thursday night. Pretty interesting matchup, maybe a tough one to get a read on. I mean, two obviously really good teams here. But how are we feeling about it? We have the Rams heading to Seattle to face the Seahawks. The Seahawks are minus 1.5-point favorites. Rams are on the road. Rams coming off a really depressing loss to the Buccaneers. So, Bukes, how do you look at this matchup?
Yeah, this is a tough one to figure out. I mean, two good teams that are coming in pretty hot. I mean, even if the Rams lost that game.
I would say the Rams are not coming in hot.
How?
Because they just got blown up by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
We can't both yell at them at the same time.
I know they got blown up, but they still had a good offensive game. Like, they're not coming in ice cold.
No, they didn't. The reason they got blown out is because Goff could not take care of the ball. That was a bad offensive game. Goff kept turning the ball over. Interceptions, fumbles.
He's just still high on Cooper Kupp getting him above the cash line in DFS.
Cooper Kupp got me above the cash line, but to say the Rams' offense played well is not a true statement.
I mean,
they played desperately.
He still threw for 517 yards.
He threw it 68 times. They were down 21-0 in the blink of an eye because he was throwing interceptions and fumbling the ball. And then when they finally got it within 8 points with the ball, a one-possession game to come back, Goff fumbles it, Tampa defensive touchdown. Game over.
Okay, so you talk about the game. Go ahead.
The Rams are going to have to balance their offensive attack, I think, and this could be a Todd Gurley game because I don't think they can trust Goff as much as they had to trust Goff once they were down 21-0, even though it was his own fault, and let him throw it 68 times for 500 and whatever yards because that's the situation that they were in. Seattle, even in a pretty dominant victory over Arizona, still allowed David Johnson to do pretty well with his touches. That
defense still is not what you would expect a Seahawks
right.
defense to be.
It's no longer the Legion of Boom. So I think that the Rams are going to look for some balance in this game, look to Gurley a little bit more, and try and let Goff make the plays that he can, but not have him win the game for the Rams because I don't think that's something that he's capable of doing.
Yes, the defense might not be the same, but do we think going to Seattle in a primetime game, short week, that's still got to play into the Seahawks' hand a little bit, I would think.
No, of course. I mean, obviously, home field advantage. Jeez, that was a tough one to spit out. Plays a factor, but you look at I don't think Russell Wilson is getting enough buzz about how good he's been playing. Like, he's yet to throw an interception this year, 8 through the air. He's starting to rush a little bit more. We didn't see that in the last game, but the previous 51 yards, 22 yards. So he's doing a little bit with the legs there as well. And quite frankly, he just really hasn't had a bad game. I mean, the worst one he probably had in terms of completion percentage was in week 3, and that was at 64%. So he's hitting his receivers. He's getting them downfield. He's doing a little bit with the legs.
That'd be a good week for Goff.
Right. But I think the Seahawks is definitely in a more favorable spot. But going to Julian's point about Gurley, he only carried the ball 5 times in that game. I think it's very easily to see. What?
What don't you get about being down 21-0 in like 10 minutes?
No, I understand that.
They're not the Bengals who are going to try and establish the run down 1 million in the fourth quarter. Let's hand it to Joe Mixon 10 times.
That was
the Rams have a smart coach and tried to make a comeback, which you do by throwing the ball. Look at Gurley's numbers in the receiving game. He had his most targets, most catches, because they're down and they're throwing the ball. So they had to use him in that way. Now they get a fresh slate. By my knowledge, they're going to start this game 0-0, and they're going to try and hand the ball to Gurley so that they don't make mistakes and get into a hole like they did last week.
Did you get a good night's sleep last night? You're awful feisty.
No, the Brewers took a lot of sleep away from me.
Well, stop making bad bets. Easy as that.
That was the right side. I'll argue that to
the scoreboard says different.
The end. Well, those are called bad beats.
All right, so off the betting angle, though, talking DFS for this game, showdown, where do we start to look for our captain's pick then? Obviously, you know, the quarterbacks are the highest price. You got Goff, who can hit the yardage. Obviously, he's going to come with the mistakes. Russ Wilson, far more efficient. Cooper Kupp, clearly showing no ill effects of the ACL, and he's been by far the best receiver. It really hasn't even been as, you know, a 33-33-33 split like we might have thought with those three guys. You got Gurley as well, Chris Carter. You know, where are we looking DFS-wise?
I think Robert Woods is actually in a pretty interesting spot. Like, I think a lot of people will go to the Cooper Kupp route, which rightfully so, but it's very easy to forget that Robert Woods saw 15 targets last week at 164 yards. Still has yet to find pay dirt, but, you know, obviously that's going to come to fruition at some point. But with all the attention going on Cooper Kupp, and I would, you know, fair to say that he's probably going to be one of the more popular catching options, but Robert Woods is still very involved in this offense. He's seen 2 games with over double-digit targets already. I think he's a very interesting captain's pick, and you're getting a decent discount on him at the captain spot at only $12,000 compared to Kupp, who's at $14,400.
So for me, I think that Cooper Kupp just being the safest option would probably be where I would look to captain. Goff I have no interest in, so Wilson would be my QB play. Even though Kupp in a captain role, obviously Goff makes sense from a stacking standpoint, but I just think Wilson's in a spot to have the better game. So paying down from Goff, I think Gurley at 8,800 makes a lot of sense, just because I think they have to establish him a little bit more, just because of the way things went last game. And Chris Carson is a guy that lost a lot of trust in Week 3 against New Orleans, losing a fumble for the 3rd straight week. They benched him for a little bit. Was that going to be the case in Week 4? I had some question marks, and no. He goes 22 carries for 104 yards, catches all 4 of his targets for another 41 yards in Arizona, and seems to be back in the circle of trust there as the guy that's going to get the majority of the touches. 26 touches last game out of the backfield. I think he's a guy that he's matched or tied for his cheapest showdown salary of the season. Started the year up at $10,000. The pricing still hasn't quite adjusted to him returning, even though it was a quick absence from that lead role.
Well, I think part of it is Rashad Penny now on track to play in this game.
Yeah, that can also obviously factor in his. We'll see what his workload is. I mean, he's been another guy that's been kind of oddly used by Seattle.
Yeah, but Chris Carson isn't doing himself any favors either. He's basically handing the job over.
He hadn't been, but I mean, he had his best game of the season in Arizona.
I'm talking more about ball security. Like, he didn't fumble that game, but the fumbles have been an issue. Well, yeah, one game.
Confirmed.
Right.
So, I mean, he's on the right track. First game of the season without losing a fumble. That's
nowhere to go but up.
That's a good way to try and redeem yourself from fumbling every game, having a game without a fumble.
Yeah, it says something that they're still putting him out there, even if it was only because there was nobody else to put out there. So, hey, you can only do what you can at this point.
Yeah, if you think Chris Carson's going to fumble, play CJ Procise maybe.
Odds are it sounds like he might. Just going by his track record.
CJ Procise, a guy who couldn't even make it onto our one-hit wonder stack list because he never hit to start with.
Damn it.
Let's talk Sunday, though. Let's talk about our bets. What do we like? What are we looking at? It could include Thursday. It could include Monday as well. You know, Sunday's the main slate. But, you know, what are we looking at? Edlow, why don't you start us off here?
I'd be happy to start us off.
Let's rebound from that 0-2 last week.
Yeah, I don't know why I I don't know why I went away from playing team totals against the Patriots. I don't know why I didn't play that Bills team total under 17. But I will not be fooled this week. So I will be going right to the Washington Redskins' inept offense, facing what's looking like more and more of an elite Patriots defense. Under 13.5 points there. 14 would be nice. If it moves to 14, fantastic. But yeah, who's going to be the quarterback, Keenum or the rookie Dwayne Haskins, doesn't really matter to me.
Colt McCoy.
Both are extremely... Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot about that report, too. Colt McCoy, even better. Great. Whoever it is, that's fine. I just don't see him getting to 14 points against the Patriots, even if the Patriots get to 35, 38 points themselves. You can also play, if you think maybe Washington kicks some cheap field goals or whatever, you can play Washington under 1.5 touchdowns. You just have to lay a little bit more juice. But for my play, official play, it'll be the under 13.5 on the Washington team total. And then I told you guys there's no chance that I'm going away from the heavy favorite money line parlay just because one of them did not hit.
Here we go.
I'm a man of my word. Trust the process. I trust my system.
Jesus.
So...
It's not a hard system to figure out, guys.
Yeah,
no,
we're still
you got
trying
to pick
figure
the
out
right
that
ones.
system.
The Rams weren't the right one. I made a mistake.
You got to pick
You've
the
got to
right
identify
heaviest favorites.
You've got to no, not the heaviest ones. The heaviest ones in the right spots. It's a science. So there's going to be 3 NFL plays, but they only come to minus 200. So I'm going to have to add a couple of college football plays because we're talking so heavy.
Oh my God.
I'll do it quickly.
Please.
Philadelphia Eagles hosting the New York Jets, minus 715 right now. New England Patriots at Washington Redskins, minus 910. Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Colts on Sunday Night Football, minus 530. Those 3 teams are going to win. They are in the heavy favorite moneyline parlay. Ohio State might be as impressive a team as we've seen in college football. Put them up there with Alabama and Clemson.
Sure.
I don't even have who they're playing in front of me, but they are going to win that game easily.
Awesome.
Well, I got to scroll through. When you're making a 5-team parlay, you got to find everything. You want me to find it? I'll find it.
I mean, something called show prep.
They play Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State.
Ranked Michigan State.
Ranked Michigan State. Easy. And then Virginia Tech, one of the worst teams we've seen so far in college football. Miami at home, minus 625 on that money line. 5-team money line parlay, minus 121. Done.
Did you get all that?
To recap, Eagles, Patriots, Chiefs, Ohio State, Miami, Florida, the U. All on the money line, minus 120.
Yes, I look forward to the excuses as to why that does not hit this week.
Jesus.
Steven, bring us back to reality here.
I like the Colts plus 10.5.
When 2 picks are just 2 picks and not 17 picks.
That's
pulled into 2 picks.
A pick.
Yeah.
That is a bet.
Anyways, Colts 10.5 against the Chiefs. I think the Colts can keep this game relatively close. Brissett has looked really good, and this is not even taking into account that Hilton could end up being back in this game.
Watch out, that might ruin Julian's massive parlay.
I know.
Probably
I know it would.
Ruin Steve's bet.
I'm a parlay buster. But the Colts at 10.5 feels really enticing, and one of the things you've noticed with Brissett since Hilton's been out is that he's been focusing on the tight ends a lot. Like we saw Jack Doyle very much involved. Eric Ebron would have been very much involved if he didn't drop every pass that came his way. He ended up having that touchdown in the end. But the Chiefs were one of the worst defensive teams against tight ends. Like I know we have a lot of focus on when we think about teams who were poor against tight ends, like with the Cardinals, Buccaneers, the Colts themselves. But the Chiefs are right up there with them. So I think that's actually a pretty enticing one there, getting some good amount of points on the Colts. I kind of want to take the Texans -5 against the Falcons just because the Falcons are so unbelievably bad against the spread. I'm so tired of falling for that trap.
Both Julian and I are going to go back to the well on things. I would advise against overreacting to something that doesn't work and just completely now flipping your method of thinking.
But to be fair, even back to last year, the Falcons are like 6-12 against the spread since last year. Julian, I'm pretty sure.
I know.
You're
so why
arguing
did you like
against your
them so
pick
much last week?
Well, against the Titans, like that felt like a better option than this week. Like you're pretty much getting the same amount of points between the Titans and Texans. I would think the Texans would be a little bit more enticing. Like obviously,
no, you're not. The Falcons were favored
last week.
Yeah, you took the Falcons as favorites.
Yes.
All right, whatever. I mean, it's already in the rearview mirror. I don't care about that.
So the spread is not the
when
same.
I
The spread is heavily
Steve
adjusted.
Buchanan, it was better than what
I
we're
wasn't
getting
here,
right now.
so you got to forgive me. I had things going on.
You
None of your
were
business. But so I'm going to take the Texans -5.
All that to say, Steve's going 1-1 again this week. All right.
Whatever.
All right, let's round it out here. I am also on this Patriots bandwagon here. Patriots -15, still too low. Again, doesn't matter who the quarterback is. That defense is going to cause turnovers, is going to capitalize off of them. Patriots only scoring 16 points this last week means nothing when you're talking about the defense they're going up against in Washington this week. So Patriots -15, I think I feel pretty confident about. And then this other one is similar to the thought process last week with the Cleveland Browns when I said I'm going to pick talent over coaching and hope that the coaching just comes out even. It doesn't hurt them totally. I'm doing the same. I'm taking the Broncos +6.5 going up against the Chargers. It's on the road. It is not an away game, though, when you go to Los Angeles to face the Chargers. Vic Fangio has made some bad decisions. This team is better than their record shows. A couple questionable calls as well away from winning a game against the Bears. So I will go with the Broncos. I don't feel great about it, but I like their ability to kind of control the clock. The Chargers, they're fiddling around with things now. They brought in a new kicker. That kind of scares me anytime that happens. I know it's because their other kicker still isn't healthy, so they just don't want to keep using their punter as a kicker. But you're bringing in a rookie who, aside looked good in the preseason for the Bills, but has not kicked since then. So who knows how that'll play out. Also, obviously, working Melvin Gordon in. Be interesting to see how that goes, but, who knows if there's some rest there as well. All that to say, Broncos +6.5. I like their ability to at least keep this game close. So I feel pretty good about that, at least. Not great, but pretty good about that.
I'm actually surprised nobody mentioned Cowboys -3.5. That was going to be my third one. No,
we all really like Ezekiel Elliott in DFS.
Yeah.
Yes. I think Zeke's getting overlooked this week. I don't know if we want to talk any DFS right now.
Let's do it.
All right.
The floor is ours.
Well, we kind of even did it on
this
Monday.
This is our podcast.
All
no
right.
one can tell us what to talk about.
That's true.
Except me,
because I get the one shot.
Matt.
All the love for CMC is completely justified, and Dalvin Cook's in a good spot against the Giants. I just think Zeke probably has the highest upside of any running back on this slate after what we saw the Eagles do to the Packers last week. And if he had any resemblance of a decent game in terms of yards per carry against the Saints, I know he got into the end zone to save his day, but if he had a good day there, we would be looking at 9,300 instead of 8,300 in this spot. So I think we're getting a $1,000 discount basically on Zeke.
And because we were talking about a little bit on Monday, the running back salaries are so close together. It's McCaffrey at 87, Kamara 86, Cook 84, Elliott 83. So they're all bunched in that area. And trying to fit at least two of those in is almost impossible. Like if you try to mix and match a little bit there, it kills what you can put in for the rest of your lineup. But obviously the upside of getting two of these guys in there is massive. If you can find some good value on this slate, which, kind of to be determined. I haven't gone too deep into it as of yet. But
we got some value.
What's that?
We got some good value popping up.
I'm sure we will.
Get to that.
Okay, well,
Auden Tate.
Nice tease.
Brought him up last time.
Nice tease by Julian. He's been paying attention.
Janko already spoiled it.
Sorry, buddy. No John Ross now.
But yeah, I think Elliott is definitely in the best position of the bunch. Obviously, the volume from McCaffrey is unprecedented. You're not going to get that from anybody else, although Fournette is kind of on the line, but he's way down the list there anyways. But
guys due for a damn touchdown. Get him in the end zone.
Fournette's an awesome play this week. My struggle is going to be, I think a lot of people are going to look to CMC and Fournette in cash because Fournette, you get a couple $1,000 savings off of those top-tier running backs.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is for good or for bad, but I'm attached to Zeke. This is Zeke week for me.
No, I agree.
So once you start going Zeke, CMC, Fournette, there's not much room for it. If there is room for it, it's going to be because you play guys like Auden Tate, who has 16 targets in the last 2 weeks, and now John Ross is added to that Bengals out list. They have 4 receivers, and it is at home against the Cardinals, who have one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. If
I'm
there's
just struggling
a week for him, it's this.
to get over how bad Dalton looked on Monday.
I know.
That's my biggest gripe.
So
That's
why I don't want to. I would say Tyler Boyd would be a really good play at 6,500, and he might be, but I'm not willing to risk 6,500 on the Bengals offense after what I saw on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
3,500 on Auden Tate. I will risk.
And we've talked about like who he is as a receiver too. He's got the wider catch radius as well compared to Boyd. Like Boyd needs to be those accurate timing short throws and accumulate a lot of them. Tate just needs like 3 or 4. They're going to be further down the field, potentially in the red zone as well. And one other note on Leonard Fournette is that Kawan Short on IR now as well. Panthers star interior lineman. So they're going to be a little bit banged up the middle. Real quick, before we get into a fun stack that we're going to talk about, actually, you know what? We're actually going to go baseball before that. Apologies. Sorry, tease. That was a little bit
football,
too much of a
little
tease.
baseball, little stacks.
Yeah, but before we get that, 4 teams are road underdogs at 3.5 points. Which of these 4 teams do you think is most likely to win their game? We have the Buccaneers plus 3.5 on the road against the Saints, Jaguars at Panthers, Packers at Cowboys, Browns at 49ers.
I think the Buccaneers, just because the Saints have been leaning so heavily on Kamara. And from what we've seen so far, their run defense is legit. Like, we saw that weird game from McCaffrey. I'm like, maybe it was just like a weird week for him. But when other teams have been coming in, they've just absolutely stifled them. Like, the 49ers had 100 rushing yards against them since. Then we have the Panthers, Giants, Rams, 37, 23, 30. That's what we have for rushing yards against them. Now, Julian will go in, the score. But they've just done, they haven't allowed anything on the ground.
Because
what does the score mean? I think
because when I was talking about
I
the
like
rushing
the Bucs
yards
a lot too.
That they were allowed. I was waiting for you to come in and be like, they were up so high.
Well, but they did it to Christian McCaffrey. They did it to Saquon Barkley before he got hurt. So while the numbers are fake for Todd Gurley, they've shut down better running backs prior to that game. So there's something to buy in on there. And they have Shaquille Barrett, who has been a machine getting after the quarterback. And we saw the Saints just score 12 points in that win, 4 field goals. Teddy Bridgewater was going down a lot in that game. I think the Bucs can put a lot of pressure on Bridgewater, and this is going to be what's the total on this game? Do you have that in front of you?
It was actually fairly
47.
high. That seems pretty high.
I mean, we just saw the Bucs score 55. That might be a little bit of an overreaction to that. Not that Jameis can't score with Evans and Godwin in the dome, but the Saints they have good coaching. They're going to try and grind this game out. This could be an under game. This could be a game that I see the Bucs competing in. And just to take a different play from Steve's, although I think I do like the Bucs the most out of those 4 teams. You're talking talent. Browns on Monday Night Football against San Francisco. I don't know if the Niners are a real 3-0 team. They are, but I mean, Tampa's a good team. They did beat the Bucs thanks to 2 pick sixes. That's on Jameis Winston. They blew out the Bengals. Who can count the Bengals right now? I think the Browns have a decent chance at, especially the Browns like primetime. Their players are just built for primetime, so I feel like they have a decent chance in that game.
Yeah, well, their last primetime game didn't end that well. That's what, no. So I
that
think
also
that's
doesn't count because it was
sure.
against the fake Jets.
Well, no, they had the Jets one, but then the Rams. Anyways.
Oh, true. I forgot about that.
Exactly. I was leaning toward the Browns. I will then, but I like the Jaguars in that spot too as well. Like I like obviously Minshew down the stretch. He's been making the plays that they need, and then Fournette does the rest. So needless to say, like I think it's intriguing all of those matchups where road dogs at 3.5. We are going to shift focus though. We will talk AL wildcard now. We have the Rays going on the road to Oaktown, the Coliseum. Lovely, lovely facility to face the Oakland Athletics. Charlie Morton going up against Sean Manaea. Money line right now, Rays plus 120, Athletics minus 137 going up against Charlie Morton. Kind of interesting there, over under 7.5. Bukes, how are you looking at this one?
Tough game. This is definitely going to be
it's almost like it's 2 playoff caliber teams.
Yes.
In one game.
But I will say I feel more confident in this one being a pitching duel than I did for last night's game for the NLDS.
Sure.
Even with Scherzer in the mix. Sean Manaea has only pitched a few games this season, but he's looked legit. Like, he was
shoulders right.
highly touted in the minors, and like he's come up and shown that. Morton had a really, really good start to the season. Kind of fell off in the early summer months and then seemed to kind of get back in the groove again. The Athletics are a pretty tough team to strike out, but Morton doesn't give up a lot of home runs, induces a decent amount of ground balls. And the Athletics are just so much more powerful against lefties. And this is a very right-handed heavy Rays pitching staff. So I'm really still trying to get a good pulse on this game. Are
you just saying you like the under?
I think the under is probably the most enticing bet on here. I wouldn't feel comfortable taking the money line on either side.
That's why the under is minus 124.
Yeah. The run line I usually never take for baseball, but I think the under 7.5 runs makes the most sense. This is easily, I think, a 3-1 game, 3-2, something like that.
So I definitely lean with I don't want to pick a winner in this game. I don't have a. It's a cop out. But it's a cop out. I'll pick a winner. I mean,
you got
but it's not something
chance.
Right. It's not something that I would bet on. Is what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
So in terms of something that I do like, the under 7.5.
Well, if you are going to bet on it, then doesn't that mean you take the underdog and take the plus 120 with the Rays? If you can't decide between the two.
Yes, because I think Morton has a little bit more. We've seen more of him this season, so we know a little bit more of what he is. And Tampa finished the season with the number 1 bullpen in baseball. Surpassed a couple of teams there at the end down the stretch. So
just one real quick thing about the bullpens. I think in these type of games, you can't really factor in the bullpen because we even saw it last night. They'll do whatever it takes to,
Well, when your bullpen's terrible, then yes, and you have.
I agree, and that's what I said on Monday when we were talking about the Washington bullpen, and I was like, well, it could be anybody, and then it winds up being Strasburg. If Strasburg's your bullpen, well, now I like your bullpen all of a sudden. So,
funny how that works.
For this game, I feel like Tampa only has 2 real starting pitchers, so their bullpen actually is their bullpen, and they throw their best guys out of it. So I think we can back the numbers here a little bit more. But I like it. I like the under earlier in the game too. Like DK Sportsbook, first 3 innings under 2.5 runs, minus 134. First 5 innings under 4.5 runs, minus 159. I would say that those are the even stronger plays than the game total. Charlie Morton faced Oakland twice this season. He allowed 1 earned run in 13.1 innings. And you mentioned his up-and-down season. He's coming off 6 shutout innings against the Yankees, allowing 1 hit in his last start of the regular season, so brings a little bit of momentum. And then Sean Manaea, as you mentioned, only pitched in September. I hardly followed baseball in September, so I didn't even know what he was doing. But now you look at the numbers. 5 starts this season in that month, allowed 4 total earned runs in just under 30 innings. So those early unders are what have my attention in this game.
Yep, it'll be great when he gets traded or signs with the Yankees. That'll be a lot of fun. Real quick. Those that we do know of for the divisional series, Cardinals, Braves, that'll be Michaelis Keuchel. Then Nationals, Dodgers, and Twins, Yankees. Give me the 3 teams that come out of those 3 series.
I think the Braves come out of the series with the Cardinals, Game 5. I think that goes 5 games. Yeah. The Dodgers, no doubt, 4 games. The way the Nationals worked out that game last night was great, was necessary.
Yeah.
But now you're going to pitch Patrick Corbett on the road to start. That's been an issue. Most likely you're going to have to use either Anibal Sanchez or Austin Voth in Game 2. So you could probably tab them Dodgers to be up by 2 games right off the get-go.
The Dodgers are also 1,005 at home this season.
They're very good at home.
Maybe not a real number.
In Game 3.
Something like that.
If the Nationals are smart, you put Strasburg out there, not Scherzer. I think you have to protect Scherzer right now because he has just not looked good. Did not good last night. And the biggest problem is the Dodgers are very left-handed heavy. And we saw last night with Grandal. And Thames. Those are the 2 guys that hit the home runs, left-handed bats. The Dodgers can absolutely load up with lefties. That's going to be a problem. So I see Dodgers in 4 in that one. And then Julian and I were talking about it. I really think the Twins can get it out of the Yankees. I think they have too many lefties. They have too many questions with their starting rotation. The Twins probably have the upper hand with the rotation here. And you just can't stop the Twins hitting home runs. Yankee Stadium, going against lefties who give up home runs. Paxton, most likely J.A. Happ. Masahiro Tanaka is brutal on the road. I think the Twins have a legitimate chance to make it to the ALCS.
Twins definitely have a chance, and I've liked the Twins and backed the Twins a lot this season. I just think the Yankees are going to be ready to aggressively manage their pitching however they need to in this series to figure it out. And I also think that their offense is just, the pieces are coming together for them there in terms of their lineup. So I'm going to pick the Yankees in the series. I'm not going to bet them minus 225 because I don't like the number.
Coward.
Well, that's just how you do it. I want to pick the Cardinals. Do we know what games is Flaherty pitching? Like, so he's not getting game 1. Would he be 2 and 5?
He would.
My guess
be 2
is
and 5. Yes.
2 and 5. I like the Cardinals. I would take the Cardinals.
I know you got to. So I like the Cardinals in game 2. You got to get them to that game 5, and you would give them the huge edge. I think that at plus 112, I would lean Cardinals in this series.
But you're also talking about Dakota Hudson at home. I think is great. Looking at his numbers there. This first game, I don't think they win game 1.
And the bullpen lean is St. Louis as well in terms of real bullpen arms.
Right. Michaelis just giving up as much contact as he does. I think that'll be a rough first game. It just depends what the Cardinals can do against
So this could
Keuchel.
be a spot where, and you don't want to miss out on a bet, but you leave it alone for game 1 and then take St. Louis at whatever the number would be, plus 200 for the series line once they go down 1-0.
I would actually be okay with the Braves taking the Braves in game 1 just because Michaelis has been so much worse on the road than he has at home. He has troubles with lefties, and obviously the Braves have a number of them they can use. So I'd be okay with taking the Braves in game 1, but I still think the Cardinals will win in 5 because they're not going to beat Flaherty twice.
You picked the Braves at the beginning of the segment.
But now the Cardinals are winning game 5. That's a really tough way for the Braves to win the series.
Did I say the Braves originally?
You did.
I'm sorry. I meant the Cardinals. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Rewind.
Sorry.
Erase.
Whatever you say,
Edit
Bucks.
that.
Losing a lot of credibility. All right, so now we're all on the Cardinals all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was getting ready to be like, well, my one thing that's different is going to be the Cardinals.
Sorry.
So, the Dodgers are the obvious choice. I think one of my favorite plays in terms of MLB futures right now is just the Dodgers straight up at minus 118 to come out of the NL, just because I don't think there's much competition in the NL. I don't like them against whoever. Houston, Minnesota, New York. I just don't like the Dodgers in the World Series, but I love them to come out of the NL. So one other thing that you can do...
That would track historically.
Track historically. I'm not going to... You can't really bet the Dodgers minus 210 in this series line, though, but whoever comes out of this wild card game, you got to like Houston, and it's probably going to be a similar line to the Dodgers minus 210. If you take the Dodgers series and the Houston series lines when they open and parlay them, those will be around even money, maybe even plus money on that. So that would be a play, even though we don't even have a Houston line yet.
There we go. All right, I do wonder about the Dodgers bullpen still, but that is what it is. All right. Again, all window dressing to get us to the best segment by far, our Wednesday all-time stack. It's going to be a blast. I already mentioned it, so no big reveal this time, but it is going to be one-hit wonders, all-time one-hit wonders. The categories are songs, athlete. Bukes came up with this third one, not trying to... pop culture, general pop culture, one-hit wonders.
Yep.
You can get behind it. A little free-form, that's cool. And then the free-formist of them all, flex. Yep. So, Bukes, you came up with the third category. You start us off here.
So, I didn't want to go with obvious answers. So, one hit wonder is not going to be like Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice, because, no crap. We know that. Laffy Taffy by D4L. You remember that song?
Okay.
That song.
The best Jolly Rancher reference in a rap song ever, yes.
That song
no free
was
ads.
Hot fire when that came out. Prom, people were doing the Laffy Taffy.
I think a lot of this, and I'm not not to throw you on, for me it was as similar as I just realized a lot of this was just things I liked when I was younger.
Yeah, and that's okay. Yeah. That's all right. I like Laffy Taffy.
That song's
you'd be on the dance floor at school. Yep. Come on. So there you got that. That's gonna be a GIF. I know that. What's the second one?
Hopefully,
athlete.
I guess it's also worth knowing what else did D4L do?
Exactly. Nothing. Yeah. Nothing. Okay. Athlete is Chris Shelton from the Tigers. He came in during the month of April, hit 10 home runs. Everyone was like, whoa. Sent down to the minors, basically never heard of again. He was one of those late round flyers that you would take. just absolutely set the month of April on fire. I think he was in the minors by the end of May.
Are we supposed to know who the one-hit wonders are?
Well, clearly.
I mean, if you were a little
Chris
bit more
Shelton, fun story, cousin of Alex Smith.
See? How do you not know that? You didn't know that?
I don't know why I would. What year was this?
2006? Like, it's fairly recent. Like, you were alive.
I was alive in 2006.
Anyways, so pop culture, Trapper Keepers.
Trapper Keepers.
Trapper Keepers.
See, I think those are still a thing.
Culture?
We ourselves are not in elementary school anymore. I still see those at Target, back to school.
No, you don't.
I mean, I see them. Maybe I just see them because no one buys them. I don't know.
Okay.
I guess you got kids in that age.
Literally.
Are you not buying your kids Trapper Keepers?
I was in school. I had to have that because everybody else have it. I even remember. It was all like psychedelic. I'd open it. I'd have my pen, pencil, and one color pencil just in case I needed it. And then I had
and
my
a warhead inside as well.
Yes.
Pokemon card.
Right. What's wrong with that?
Nothing's wrong with it.
Like, I'm going with our target demographic, and I will guarantee you they all know what Trapper Keepers are.
That's not my. I guess that's not my thing. My thing is like, is it a one-hit wonder? Like, are they still around? And other people are.
No, it was one Trapper Keeper, and they never made him again. Like, there wasn't like Trapper Keeper version 2. Like, there wasn't Trapper Keeper 2.0. Never happened.
Real good Netflix doc on like Bukes' search for the last Trapper Keeper.
All right.
What?
It houses his teriyaki wings.
Fine.
All right, we'll go with yours.
You didn't even finish.
Yeah, he did.
You did?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was your flex?
He flexed Trapper Keepers.
Yeah.
Oh.
So go do yours.
It's a GPP play.
What was your pop culture?
Oh, sorry. Fidget spinners.
Okay.
Like, those came and went so fast.
That's why I asked you for you Trapper Keepers are your pop culture thing. I was like, this, and you said, yeah. You looked at me and said, yes.
I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now. If you go on a website that rhymes with Cuz Heed and did like 90 pop culture, Trapper Keepers would be on there.
All right, let's move on.
Okay, let's hear your stellar list.
Mine. It sounds like you guys are picking things that like are your favorites. Mine, I just tried to be as obscure as possible.
Well, hold on, I didn't go
Laffy
yet.
Taffy is not a favorite.
Yet.
Okay, but from your,
sure.
That's what I've taken from your responses so far. But either way,
yes,
so my one hit wonder,
Sherlock Holmes.
I think the most obscure one hit wonder for me is going to be Mambo No. 5 by Lou Bega. He parlayed it into a commercial recently, which was nice for him. What? Good to see him
Parlay,
back.
betting term.
Yep, get it. So maybe that doesn't make him as much of a one-hit wonder since he returned, but it was in reference to.
Oh no, that's 1,000% a one-hit wonder.
Okay.
If your entire career, I mean, I brought up the Icky Shuffle on Monday. Like
I was going to say the Icky
wonder.
Shuffle could come back up on this stack, but yeah, I mean he's making money on a commercial like 20 years later off of one song. I think that qualifies.
That is a successful one-hit wonder.
So for athlete, I went with Linsanity.
Okay.
Because even though Jeremy Lin still bounced around the NBA, he's basically like crying about how he can't keep a job, and he was like on top of the NBA world for I think that was the month of February in whatever that was, 2012-ish,
right.
2011.
That was
2012.
Yeah.
That was kind of as one hit wonder as it got. Pop culture reference.
Can't wait for this one.
I love this one. I don't love actually doing it, but I think it's the most obscure thing ever. The Band-Aid under the eye that Nelly used to do.
What?
That was considered a style in a point in time. There were
I don't know where you grew up.
I'm not going to say that. Newton, Massachusetts. So that was during a point in time, people were actually wearing Band-Aids under their eye as a style statement.
He is not wrong.
If you did something now, like whatever, overalls, wear your jersey backwards, whatever, people would be like, oh, throwback, like 90s, 2000, ha ha ha. If you wear a Band-Aid on your face now, people would be like, oh, dude, what happened to your face? It's just so
it's already
obscure
left
and so random
wow.
that even if somebody did it, they wouldn't even think of it as a piece of pop culture. They would just be like, oh, something fall on your face. I think that's pretty funny. Wow. And then for flex.
How did you not come with a Band-Aid?
I know. I thought about it. But then I would have had to wear it the whole show, and it would have been weird. Or I could have just put it on, then it would have. I don't know.
There you go. You reached the answer on the second
part.
part.
So, yeah, Too awkward. And then since we are predominantly a sports show, I stuck with sports for my flex. One of the worst moments of my sports fandom, the David Tyree catch. That's about as big of a one-hit wonder as you can be.
Yeah, was he out of the league in
he was
2 years after that?
Yeah, he was like a priest or a minister or something.
Well, I mean,
a league.
There's got to be a higher power.
Yeah,
if that's
why he was. Yes, that's pretty much what his shtick was. It's a higher power that.
All right, let's not call it a shtick. I mean, the guy's devout.
It was his
highest
shtick,
man.
It was his shtick. He was saying that's why he caught the ball.
Edlow's in the back of the church, just boo. With this shtick.
Your stick stinks.
It does stink.
Terrible.
All right, that's all I got.
All right, here we go. To me, there was only one choice for the song, and neither of you chose it, so I guess maybe there wasn't, but Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
That
I
actually had a friend who had the CD, so I heard the other songs that they came up with.
I remember the cover.
What's that?
I remember the cover.
The cover. Oh, with the face and the
it was the green background and the big
with the
face.
Great. I don't even want to. I was gonna research what happened to that band. Don't even care. You came up with the greatest song of all time. It's gonna be in every stadium and arena from here to the end of time.
Never gonna keep them down.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of which, athlete. For mine, I went with Peyton Hillis's 2010 season. Got himself a Madden cover. Kind of a crux of a couple different things. There was the first year they did the fan vote. So, his season wasn't even... It was 1,600 total yards. It's the only time he rushed for over 1,000. Barely hit 500 the following year. Wasn't a starter after that. But the craziest thing about that season, they, blitzed the Patriots. It was 34-14. The Browns, the Cleveland Browns. Peyton Hillis ran for 184 yards, career high. So obviously that's a win in my book. And then you didn't know about him. You didn't know about him in college. He was in Arkansas with Darren McFadden and Felix Jones. He was the fullback in that Wild Cat or whatever they called that offense. Wild Pig. I don't know. So he wasn't even he was an afterthought there. He was an afterthought in Denver, and then he has this ridiculous season. It was one of my first years playing fantasy as well. He was a waiver wire pickup. Always stuck with me. Peyton Hillis. Shouts out to you. Eventually, I remember he missed a game the next season because he had a sore throat or something like that. And everyone's all right, this is ridiculous. I think he just wanted to get traded from the Browns. Pop culture for me. 3D televisions. Those came and everyone's you got to have a 3D TV after HD. That was supposed to be the next thing.
And that was so in and out. Clearly. How do we? Oh, because they came with the glasses and
exactly.
Right.
Everyone's this is gonna be the coolest thing ever. They're selling DVDs of only 3D movies and stuff, and then it's oh wait, we have to sit there wear glasses, otherwise we can't even watch the thing, and you can only have it on for 3 hours max or something, and then it would fizzle out. So it's what are you doing? So you can't even get those cheap anymore. Well, I'm sure you can very cheap, but nobody even
now
wants
they're vintage.
So to me, one and done 3D televisions. And my flex, like Julian, I did go back to sports as well because I thought there were just a lot when it came to football in particular. I went with Joe Flacco's 2012 postseason.
Yeah. That's a good
Producer
one.
Matt brought up another good one that I'll bring up too because he went with Matt Flynn's 3 touchdown performance for the Packers.
That was
my issue there is he never even got a chance to go back out on the field. He signed that deal with the Seahawks and then Russell Wilson came and won the job. But Flacco's still living off of that postseason, made a ton of money off of that postseason, and has just never been good since then. And that was still one of the craziest things. Raheem Morris, man. I hope Joe Flacco sends him a Christmas card and every year buys him something because
wasn't there that game that Matt Flynn had and it was getting close to halftime and he had negative yardage or 6 yards, it was something so obscure.
These are the ones you don't
remember.
Sure,
and then he gets just usurped by Chase Daniels now as the greatest job in the world, back up his entire career, makes a ton of money. But yeah, no. So I went Joe Flacco there. Like I said, he's still using that. So
good list. That was a good list.
I had 2 honorable mentions, I guess, if you just want to throw them out there. I was really close to going with that I'm Blue song.
Yeah.
I just looked it up. Eiffel 65,
I got a girlfriend.
I guess. I didn't know who it
Is that
was.
Daft Punk?
Fifth grade skating. We used to all go to the skating rink. I impressed a girl by saying that song was about me because I did have a blue house. True story.
And
all right, well, I'm glad I brought that up so that we could get that story. And then my other honorable mention was going to be Jonah
Producer
Gray.
Matt bringing us up that Eiffel 65.
Yeah, I said that.
Oh, Eiffel 65.
That's what I said, right?
All right,
I thought it was
we
Daft
don't-
Punk.
I listened to Producer Matt. I half listened to you. So.
Okay.
Oh.
Jonas Gray for the Patriots after he had that 4-touchdown game. And I only bring it up because he got the Sports Illustrated cover from that game and then was cut that week for sleeping through practice.
Right.
But
Even that Sports Illustrated cover was playing off of they just take anyone, right?
And then he was gone.
Yeah. My other one, I was
work.
so I was thinking nostalgia as well for pop culture. I was between Pogs and Tech Fests as well.
Yeah, Pogs were good.
Those came and went, but I just don't know if those are still a thing or not.
I still have mine, and I had the best slammer.
I doubt that. I bet mine was better.
Nope. It's
My
OJ.
wings are better. My slammers are better.
It was O.J. Simpson.
Oh, darn.
On the on one side, it said not guilty, and he had a big smile on his face. On the other side, it said guilty, and he had a big knife, and he was looking very angry. Beat that. Yep, you can.
Maybe we can get OJ to tweet about the Panel B pod. He's on
I'd
Twitter
love
all
for
the
him
time
to.
with hot takes.
I like his Twitter account.
Guys, I'm going to have to stop this.
What? He's a guy that was cleared.
Cleared.
Reminder, everyone, that the odds and lines are subject to change. Please see website for actual odds. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and would like some help, please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All opinions are of the individual analysts.
Yes. Yes. Retweets do not equal endorsements. For Julian Edlow, for Steve Buchanan, I'm Alex Jankowski. We'll see you knuckleheads on Monday.